Welcome to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast, brought to you by Dietzel Man Productions.
And you go to college and you're on this all-star team. And so I would tell myself that really don't listen to that voice inside your head that tells you you're not good enough. And probably the other thing I would tell myself is get more sleep.
Not everyone's gonna like you, but try to make them want you. Still working on that one.
People say, oh, I'm not going to have kids yet because it's not the right time, or I'm not going to get married yet because it's not the right time. Well, if you keep moving the goalposts in life, it's never going to be the right time. So enjoy your life.
Do what you love for a living. Figure out a way to make that work. Don't do something because it's what you're supposed to do or because it's going to be the most fun. You do something that makes you happy.
Take going to Landers for lunch. Sitting around Jeff Blair's Mustang 2 and listening to his tape of Creek Wall.
Hey, this is Scott Townsend. Welcome back to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast. And today I have with me, well, in high school, a swimmer, German club, winter sports royalty, Christin. Is it Christine or Christin?
Christine, if you were saying it in Norwegian, but Christin, if you would say it the way I spell it. Yes.
Okay, so I'll say, Christin Svensen, how's it going?
I'm going fine, thank you.
So
Living in Norway, yes.
So you're coming to us now from where? Where in Norway?
I'm coming to you from the ConocoPhillips offices in Stavanger.
Stavanger.
So that's so that's where I work. So I work for ConocoPhillips. So I'm still connected to Phillips.
All right.
After all these years.
You might win the award, probably do, for the longest distance interview we've done so far in this project. Alexa, how far is it from Bartlesville, Oklahoma to Stavanger, Norway? I asked her the other day, a while ago. It's 4,500 miles, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's far. Yeah. I remember my long trip to Bartlesville coming over. You know, I was exhausted when I arrived because it was a long trip via, I think, Amsterdam, Chicago. You know, hours waiting every stop, and then the trip to Tulsa. And I remember driving from Tulsa to Bartlesville, being really tired, and then I guess you had concrete roads, so you just heard this sound of I don't know if you still have those roads, but
no,
I remember that.
Yeah.
It was very I almost fell asleep because of that. It was very comforting, and I was that tired. Yeah.
It's almost longer to drive from Dallas to Tulsa than it is to fly from Norway to New York or wherever you landed. So you're not from Bartlesville. We'll get that one.
No. I am from Stavanger, Norway. Born, raised here. Yeah.
You what brought you to Norway?
I think Chris Hayes mentioned it in her interview. I was a swimmer in Stavanger, and Phillips organized this North Sea swim meet where Chris came over, and I'm the coach, Doug Ferguson. He used to stay with my family when he was in Stavanger on this for this swim meet. And I guess I mentioned to him that I would love to be an exchange student in the US. And that was sort of one of my goals. And he said, well, why don't you come to Bartlesville? So that's what happened. So that's why I came to Bartlesville.
Wow. So Chris Hayes goes over to Norway for a swim meet. You guys meet, and the coach sets it up so you can come back to Bartlesville as an exchange student.
Yes.
Okay. And so you came to Bartlesville in what, the 11th grade or as a senior?
No, but as a senior. So I was there only for that one school year.
Okay.
I arrived probably shortly before the school started, and I stayed until school was over. So it was my 1 year stint in Bartlesville. swam for the splash club and for the school, and went to school and learned a lot from that experience. So
it's one of the biggest takeaways from your experience in Bartle, that trip. It's a huge culture shift, probably.
Yeah, actually, it was more of a culture shift than I thought before, because I would say I probably had a fairly strict upbringing, or I would say probably strict in the sense that I was swimming a lot, so it wasn't much else that I did other than train, do homework, and but I guess you had curfew, which does not exist in Norway. There was, I guess we have a state church. You had a bunch of churches. I think every church in Bartlesville wanted to, they wanted to have me as their member. I guess they found out here's one who doesn't belong to a church. School was sort of different as well. So there were a lot of things that I had to learn, but I think it was in total, it was very sort of a growing experience for me. It was very good to be on your own for a year, live and adapt to a new culture, learn the language, which has helped me a lot afterwards, both in school and in through my education and in my workplace. I use English a lot at work. I negotiate in English. I have to, because I have a lot of English customers. So I brought a lot of things back with me. Good friends, names, people that I'm friends with on Facebook. Nice to see them again. So a few people I've caught up there, which is nice. I think it was also a nice experience for me to see a more multicultural society from where at that time in Norway. It was very Norwegian, bred people, not a lot of colorful people. So I thought that was a positive experience. Lots of things, but I think the friendships, there was George Fish from Germany. We were there in the same situation. We were really good friends. I found a lot of support in him, being there in the same situation. Fun to be
we'll have him
on
later on.
Yes, yeah.
Later on this month.
So all in all, a very good experience, I would say.
Did you speak did you speak English before you came here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I spoke English before, but it was English that I'd been taught in school, British English, and and I would say that I had to work hard to learn the language better. I remember dreaming in English.
Wow.
In the beginning, when it's not your mother tongue, you have to translate every word from your language to English. And in the end, after a year, it sort of comes out naturally. So that was,
So was it hard to understand the kids in your class starting out? Was the language barrier tough or pretty?
No, I don't think so. But it's more, I think you can speak it, you can make yourself clear enough, but it's picking the right words in the right situation. There's slang, I remember I struggled a bit in history because we had this, I don't know, I can't remember his name, but the history teacher, he had but he had a very thick accent, and he asked us to take notes. And I mean, in the first few weeks, my notes, I could not even understand what I had written because I was struggling to understand what he said. So it went better after a while, but yeah.
What was what's your fondest memory of high school as a senior? What if you think of College High and your senior year? Of course, there's a lot going on there. You're a foreign exchange student. You're on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that stands out during that time period that you'll always remember?
Yeah, I think I remember one thing which I thought was special. We went to the state championships in swimming. And this is maybe not so much high school. We went to state championships in swimming, and the club or the school won. And coming back, we were met by the police and they were escorting us. That would never have happened here. So I thought that was a sort of a fun memory.
Yeah, wow.
And I think for me, a lot of the things that were sort of that you knew were the tradition and what was happening when you were senior and events such and such. For me, it was more about going to the football games, which I'd never been to. Yeah, like the different sports, how your band is different than what a band in Norway would be at school.
What's the biggest difference between your school
and
bands?
I think, well, it's just you only see them once a year on the 17th of May. You never see them at the football match, for instance. So, but it's but it was sort of some of those cultural things. You could also say, for me, something that was very different from Norway, and I guess from a more homogeneous society, was that you could more clearly see the differences between the poor and the rich in Bartlesville. That was very obvious to me. The railroad track on the one side versus the other side does not exist in Norway. There are probably poorer parts of the town, but it's not as obvious. So that was something that was different. Yeah, there were quite a few things, a lot of impressions to take with you home. But for me, it was a learning experience, and I really enjoyed it. So.
Did you get homesick while you were here?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Of course, but then at the same time, I was very determined to go for a year, live through that, and learn as much as possible. So, yeah.
What? Hang on, let me look at my. What was the winter sports royalty all about? I guess you guys were celebrating the basketball, wrestling, and swimming teams, and they voted on you guys as being
which was something that was very different from what we don't have that concept in Norway, but it was fun to be nominated, I guess. So it was kind of people to vote for me, I guess, as the foreign exchange student. But
there's a big picture of you with
I know. I have the book. Yeah.
We got there's Dana Brock. I'll show a better picture on the screen. Doing something to your, and then you down here looks like Christy Bowerman, Dana Brock. Who else? Marilyn Johnston, Brenda Burrows, and Christin Svensen.
Yes.
So what was that like? Was that, that was different, I guess?
That was very different, yes. But it was, like I said, for all of those different experiences was probably what I was looking for, to go somewhere else, learn a different culture, appreciate the things that you have that we don't have, and vice versa. So I think it's, so I'm really glad I went, with all the experiences, and I think I've gained from it more than I lost in a way.
Oh yeah, so, that's great.
Yes. So it's
when you got over here and you had a lot to eat, there's all kinds of things to eat here. What was one of the foods that you thought was really good?
Oh, I mean, what's not good to eat in the States? That was the biggest problem. I came home heavier than when I went. But but the food was lovely, and also I guess what was a big change for me at that time is that in Norway at that time, I think we more or less made everything from scratch. So your boxed cake mixes, etc. We didn't have those. Now we do. Yeah. So we've adopted your habits, but it used to be where everything was made from scratch here at that time. But that was one of the things I noticed. But the abundance of good vegetables, available to you at all times. I think the variety of foods that we could buy at that time was not the same as today. We can get everything here. There's no, but at that time it was a very sort of Norwegian diet with the exciting spices of salt and pepper, not much else. And
but your diet's very healthy.
Yeah, but we've expanded and become more international. So
Right. I
Yeah.
guess the foods that are popular over there, and you tell me if I'm wrong, what fish and dairy
yeah.
products, cheese,
Yeah.
wines.
Originally, I mean, wine is imported,
Hmm.
and it's basically fruit, fish, a few vegetables, like a lot of potatoes,
Mm.
some beets, carrots, cauliflower, I guess is traditional Norwegian, and meat. But the meat in Norway was not tender like the meat in the States. I mean, we had different rules, but like I said, a lot has happened in that space in Norway since
Right.
the early 80s. Yeah. I think the expats coming to Norway would tell you the same. They were complaining. I think they said the fish, because like I think they fed them with fish flour or something. So it's we've become better. I think now we actually compete very well in Bocuse, you know, which is sort of the big chef championships every year. So
Right.
Yeah.
So after graduating from high school, kind of bring us, those of us that knew you in high school, and just kind of give us a quick rundown of what you've been up to for the last 39 years.
Okay, so high school in Norway, finalized that. Then I was always thinking I would be a physical therapist, but then last year of high school in Norway, I changed my mind. So I decided to go into business. And so I went to a business school in Norway, in Bergen. I got my master's there. And then shortly thereafter, I joined Conoco. And at the same time, you know, the oil industry was developing a lot. And my hometown, Stavanger, is sort of like the energy town in Norway. So I joined Conoco and I worked there. I've basically been there ever since late '89. Then in 2001, we merged with Philips. So now I'm with Conoco Philips. So I'm actually working Ekofisk, which was sort of the first big field that Philips owned in Norway. So I'm working Ekofisk and the transportation system associated with Ekofisk. So I'm sort of back to Bartlesville. So a lot of people that I work with have been in Bartlesville as expats. So
that's cool.
So then, so I did that until '89. Started in '89 with Conoco. Over the years, I've gotten married. I have 2 kids. I have a daughter that's 26 and a son that's 22. So they're both studying. And my husband works in oil as well as I do. So we're both in oil. In our spare time, we have, I guess our first big project was building a house, our own house, which was designed by an architect, which is close by the sea. And we built that in '96. And then in 2011, we bought a house in Spain. So we go a lot to a place called Calpe, which is paradise on earth.
Oh, wow.
And more recently, we bought an old tiny farm on an island not too far from Stavanger. So we enjoy going there. We grow apples and pears, and there's sheep running around eating the grass and keeping it down. And but that's really lovely. Yeah.
Sounds like Norway.
That's Norway. So that's very Norwegian. That's back to the roots. Yes.
So you're in Stavanger. You have a house in where? Spain? What?
In Spain. Yes. In Calpe, it's called. It's in 1 hour north of Alicante. If you've heard about Alicante, Valencia. No, well, Valencia, it's on the coast. It's on the coast. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And then your little island, your farm on the island.
Yes.
So how do you get to the island? Do you have a little bridge or
helicopter? We drive. No. We drive 40 minutes and then we have a boat. Jump in the boat and then we drive for about 20 minutes and then we're at the cabin.
That's cool. Huh.
Thank you for listening to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast. And we'll be right back after this.
Hey, this is Scott Townsend. Thanks for watching, listening to this episode of the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast. I'll invite you, if you like what you see here on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Also with the podcast on Spotify or iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn. Subscribe, like, share, leave a review. That would be a great help too. Pop's Daylight Donuts, man, they've got the best tasting donuts, sausage wraps, pastries in Northeast Oklahoma. And also, if you'll tell the staff there, hey, Scott Townsend said to give me a large spicy pig, they'll give you a free large spicy sausage wrap. But you have to tell them Scott Townsend sent you. So tell them, hey, Scott Townsend told me to tell you to give me a large spicy pig. So there's the offer. There's the call to action. So go to Pop's Daylight Donuts. Say hi to Mark for me. And yeah, go to Pop's Daylight Donuts and get you some. Talking to all the high school, your old high school buddies.
Yeah, well, I would say thank you for being so kind to me when I was there. I mean, people were nice and friendly and sort of made it a very good experience.
Where'd you
Lovely
stay?
people. I stayed with Chris for a while. You know, I stayed with their family for about 4 or 5 months. And then I stayed with a family called Roses, and they lived fairly close to the school. On
Roses.
Yeah, the Roses. Yeah, Marilyn and Earl. So, yes. So I stayed there, swam a lot. Got my driver's license in the States, which was a big deal. Because in Norway, to get your driver's license is very expensive. And then I got my driver's license through driver's education, and I think I paid $5 or $9 to get the driver's license, which was like
free almost.
I think, yeah, that was free. So that was a big benefit, and I love that, having the ability to drive around then. And they were, I was invited to a lot of the people at their houses and for dinner, and met Randy Savage.
Randy Savage,
His mother was wonderful. She was from Hungary. I remember her.
Oh yeah.
I mean, people would invite me to their houses, and went for a trip. I remember with one of the girls on the swim team and her family, and so
that sounds like Bartlesville is nice too.
Yeah.
Do you plan on coming back to the reunion, 40-year reunion? That's a long way.
That's a long way. I didn't know I was invited. It's a long way.
You were.
Yes. Yeah. It's a long way.
It's a long way.
Yeah.
What,
we were actually going to go to the wedding in New Mexico in October, but we couldn't go because of COVID. Travel restrictions. So I think they're just opening up the US now on the 8th.
What would you say is your greatest accomplishment in the last 39 years? One of your greatest accomplishments? You've had many, I'm sure.
Oh, my kids.
Your kids?
Yeah, I think they are my
greatest
great accomplishment. They're two wonderful kids. I'm very proud of them. So I have a lovely daughter who's 26 and a lovely son who's 22.
That's great.
Yeah. So I like spending time with them. They are by far, work-wise, I've had really enjoyed working for Conoco and ConocoPhillips. The career meeting that's something I can say I brought with me from having lived in the States, and which I really enjoyed working in the oil industry, is meeting all the people that came to Norway. So we've had lots of expats coming from the US, and I've always been good friends with the expats. It's easy for me to talk to them because of my year in the US. so over the years, I've met a lot of really nice, interesting people, and like I said, I keep in touch with quite a few through Facebook, just because, yeah. So the international aspects of working in the oil industry is something I really enjoyed, and always having a job that sort of pushed you to learn something new. And so, I mean, where my job is, like I said, negotiation. So I love winning. So I love winning in negotiation as well. So that's what I do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Most teachable moment over the last 39 years. What
teachable? What do you mean by that?
Well, it's not necessarily a regret, but something, I don't want to call it a failure either, but maybe something didn't work out quite right. Something you learned from. It's kind of an odd question.
Oh, yeah, it's an odd question. I guess when you're our age, there's always events in your life that you remember that were not so good, and not necessarily happening to you, but happening to somebody you know. That's always hard to be on the outside thinking that could have done something different, you know, towards a friend, or, you know. So there are some, you know, people that we've lost, close friends, and who didn't have such a good life as we thought, and we didn't see it. So that's a lesson learned for me.
Right.
So I guess for me, it's this, I guess what I bring with me, I have this motto: every day I get up, I make sure that I view today as a gift, you know. So that's to be positive when I get up in the morning and try to make it a good day.
Right. That's cool. I like that. So that leads me to my last question, which I ask everybody, and that is, you know, what would you tell your 18-year-old self, knowing what you know now? What would you tell Christin Svensen at 18 years when she's walking across the graduation platform?
I think that I was quite shy when I was at that age. I was very concerned about speaking up in public. That was something that we had not been taught in school. We were, you know, you could raise your hand, and but most of the time you hope you were not asked.
Right.
And I think actually this is something that Marilyn Rose, that I stayed with for the latter part, pushed me into. She tricked me into this. She invited me to she said, "Can you prepare a speech about Norway? You know, tell me about something about Norway. There's going to be a few ladies there to listen to you." And I came in, it was a room full of people. So, so for me at 18 to think that I would at 40, for instance, hold a speech or tell a joke in front of a room of 500 people, I would never have thought that I could do that. So that's what I'm trying to tell my daughter, you know, because she's this shy, that it's funny what life does to you with training and self-confidence. You know, when you practice, you can do anything, I guess.
When you practice, you can do anything.
Yeah.
That's what you would tell your younger self.
That's what I would tell my younger self, because I would never have imagined that I would do that. Yeah.
That's so awesome. Well, I appreciate it. It's our time's up here. I really appreciate this is so cool that it's, you know, right now you and I are on opposite sides of the world and still able to communicate and talk and find out about what we've been doing. So yeah. Anything, last words to the Wildcats? What would you like to say to all your friends?
I most likely won't be there, but I hope you have a great party and a great reunion. So have a toast on me. Yeah.
Very good.
Okay. Thank you.
For Christin Svensen, this is Scott Townsend. Thanks for watching, listening to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.
Last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast is a Dietzo Man production. For more episodes, visit the Last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 YouTube channel, listen on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.